Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video, I'll be sharing with you all the books that I ended up reading in the month of August. So August was a bit of a crazy month. My fiance caught COVID and then he was negative and then he rebounded and then that got me sick. So I had COVID and then we had our wedding shower and then my postdoc ended. So I went back to work and started teaching. And so it was just a very busy month. So despite it being busy, I did manage to read 4 books in total, and all of them I would say for the most part I really enjoyed. They're kind of all over the place in terms of genre too, so that is always good. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting up, I've been kind of just marathoning my way through the Bridgerton series, and so they're just like light reads. They're not really too daunting, they're not really too difficult to read, they're just fun reads. Like, I don't take them too seriously, but they are definitely a lot of fun. So the next book was An Offer from a Gentleman by Julia Quinn. This follows Benedict, and I think this one has been my favorite so far. It is very kind of loosely like a Cinderella retelling where Benedict ends up meeting someone at the masquerade ball and ends up falling in love with her, and they don't see each other for a couple years until their paths cross, but she's the only one who knows that it was him that he had that encounter with. I really like this. I think it was hard too, especially reading the other books, because I have like the seasons, like the TV series in my mind when I'm reading it. So this one obviously is not out yet, so it was a little bit like it's easier for me to separate the show storyline versus the kind of the book ones, because they do, I would say definitely after season 1, that's where it kind of diverges. But I did really enjoy this one. I really loved kind of how we got to see more of the other characters as well. I feel like the first 2 books are really much contained with that love story, but it's especially with the 3rd book where we start to get kind of the expansion of some of the other characters. So I'm definitely will be kind of continuing on with this series and hopefully finish them all by the end of the year. But like I said, they're just kind of light, fluffy reads, and if I want something to kind of de-stress with, I will read it. So I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars. Like I said, they're not fantastic, but they are definitely a lot of fun. Next, my library. I had a few library holds come in all at the same time, so my plans for August, all the books that I planned on reading in August, kind of got thrown out the window because all of my library holds came within like a few days of each other, so it was kind of like a mad dash to get those read. The first one was A Sorceress Comes to Call by Kingfisher. This is her newest book, and it's loosely based on, I think, the Goose Girl fairy tale retelling. It's basically like Ella Enchanted, basically, where this girl grows up with her mother who is a sorceress, and she is very manipulative, she is abusive towards her, and she forces her to be obedient. And so the mom is kind of in a kind of scam in order to marry someone rich, and it kind of goes off from there. I really enjoyed this one. I'm kind of looking at my notes here. I thought the ending was really fun and exciting, but it did have some pacing issues. I feel like the beginning was really great and the end was really great, but there was a little bit of where not a lot is happening within the middle, so I felt like it could have been condensed slightly by maybe 50-ish pages. But I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a really great retelling. I loved the characters, and I love how we get 2 different perspectives. We get the young girl's perspective, whose mother is the one that's like the sorceress, and then we also get the sister of the man that the sorceress is trying to swindle and kind of work her way into a marriage. So it was really interesting getting the different perspectives eventually of her trying to figure out what's going on and all of that. So I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I really loved the ending. I thought it was super fun and suspenseful, and I really enjoyed it. It is a little bit on the darker side, but I think that makes it definitely a lot more fun to read. So like I said, I gave this one a 4 out of 5 stars. Overall, I really enjoyed it. Next, I have Just for the Summer, which again was another one of my library holds, and I think this is probably one of my favorite kind of rom-com romance books that I've read recently. I would say by far Emily Henry is my favorite. I especially loved like Funny Story and Beach Read. It was, I don't know, I'm blanking on it. I'll have the picture here, but I really have loved those ones, and I feel like this one is on par with how much I've really loved it. So it follows 2 people who always have had bad luck with relationships. Basically, the person that they end up dating, they break up, and that person ends up finding their soulmate. So they feel like they are cursed, and they discover that they both have this kind of relationship, or like they have this kind of curse between them. So they think if they date each other, they will then find their soulmates kind of post breakup to kind of break that curse. I really like this one. I really loved the kind of chemistry between the 2 characters. I really like how it delved more into kind of darker, more difficult subject matter. Some of the stuff did feel like a little bit unbelievable in terms of some of the stuff that was happening, because I was like, really, like, this seems a little bit far-fetched. But I do like how this kind of tackled more like kind of darker subject matters. I thought it integrated that into kind of the lightheartedness of some of the banter that was in here. So I really appreciate how it did tackle those kind of darker subject matters, but sometimes I was like, this just doesn't feel realistic to me. But yeah, it was just, I really enjoyed it. Like I've heard a lot of people rave about this one. So again, it was one of my library holds that came in, and I'm happy I ended up picking up. I did pick up my own physical copy. It's just down in my library downstairs, but I really enjoyed it. I definitely will be picking up more from this author. But yeah, I think if you're looking for, if you, I think, are a fan of Emily Henry, I think you will really like this one. Like I said, I've really liked how it integrated a lot of that kind of, you know, more deeper subject matter in addition with like the lightheartedness of a romance. And I really loved the romance. I love seeing it blossom, and definitely love this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I feel like there was a little bit of a pacing issue with this one as well, but overall, no complaints. And lastly, again, another library hold, and it is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I read Long Bright River many years ago, and I really enjoyed this one, and this is her newest release that I've seen like everywhere, so I was really happy when my library hold came in, and this is definitely one that I do want to get a physical copy of because I really enjoyed it. But basically it kind of spans several decades, but it takes place in the like 60s, 70s, where this young girl who goes to camp ends up going missing, and so we kind of follow the events that are leading up to her disappearance, and then also the events that happened over a decade prior. And so what's interesting about this is that not only has this girl gone missing, but her family is the one that owns the land that this summer camp is on, and over a decade ago her brother went missing and was presumed to have died. So this kind of unravels a lot of the mystery around his disappearance. So we get not only kind of leading up to the brother's disappearance from several decades ago, but also her disappearance as well. This one I really enjoyed how it integrated both the past and present storyline. I thought it was really like interesting, and that's what I really like too about Long Bright River, is that you kind of get the background and context of kind of what's going on as the mystery's like progressing. And so I really enjoy that you do get a couple different perspectives as well, which kind of adds to it. I felt like every chapter ended on a cliffhanger, so you just kind of want to keep on reading. Like I was like trying to figure out what was going to happen, and I was like could not wait to see how it unfolded. And that's how I felt with Long Bright River too. This author does a really good job at kind of weaving a mystery and keeping you intrigued and giving you little tidbits here or there and piecing together like little things here or there to try to figure out what is going on. And I really enjoyed it. I feel like this one, like especially beginning and end, were fantastic, but I feel like it was a little bit in the middle where it's like started to lose a little bit of focus, where I feel like we got some chapters of the things that have happened in the past that don't necessarily add to the story, and so it made it like I felt like it lost a lot of the momentum, and it did seem to like drag on slightly, but I still really enjoyed it. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely think it is a really great read if you kind of like the weaving of different storylines. I thought it was really fun, and definitely, like I said, if you liked this one, I think you'll like Long Bright River too. I think I like Long Bright River just slightly more, but this one was still great and a lot of fun, so cannot recommend it. So those were kind of the 4 books that I read over August. Things are definitely kind of settling down in September, which I'm really excited about. So I have 4 books here that I'm excited to dive in and kind of share. So without further ado, let's get started. So I'm not going to go too much into this one in particular because I feel like I've just been talking about them only throughout all of my summer TBRs, and I'm finally getting into them. But it is the kind of second and third book in the Dragonheart Legacy by Nora Roberts. The second one being The Becoming, and the final one being The Choice. And I'm currently about like a third of the way through this one currently. But basically this takes place in our world, where this girl discovers that her father was actually kind of a fae king who ended up getting murdered, and so she ends up getting thrown into this like fantastical world where there is this evil force that is trying to take over the lands, and then eventually her, like the human world as well. And so she's kind of the one that has to end this, and it kind of goes off from there. I feel like I read the first book in this trilogy like during 2020 or 2021, so it took me a while to kind of get my footing, but I am enjoying this. I definitely want to kind of just finally finish this because I feel like I've been talking about this the entire summer and I'm finally now getting to it. So like I said, I won't talk too much more about this series, and hopefully, fingers crossed, in October we will be done. Now that we're kind of getting into the fall months, I feel like that's where I kind of gravitate towards kind of historical fiction. And this is one that's been on my TBR for a while that I've always kind of just have found intriguing. And it is Woman on Fire by Lisa Barr. And again, this is a book that I bought quite a while ago. Yeah, October 14th, 2022. So I I feel like I've been holding out for like fall and winter to read this, and so now its time has come. But it says after talking her way into a job with Dan Mansfield, the leading investigative reporter in Chicago, rising young journalist Jules is given an unusual and very secret assignment. Dan needs her to locate a painting stolen by the Nazis more than 75 years earlier. Legendary expressionist artist Ernest Engel's most famous work, Woman on Fire. World-renowned shoe designer Alice wants this portrait for a beautiful, mysterious woman for deeply personal reasons and has enlisted Dan's help to find it, but Jules doesn't have as much time. The famous designer is dying. Meanwhile, in Europe, provocative and powerful Margot also searches for the painting. Heir to our collector's family's millions, Margot is a cunning gallerist who gets everything she wants. The only thing standing her way is Jules. Yet the passionate and determined Jules has unexpected resources of her own, including Ellis's grandson, Adam Chase. A recovering addict and brilliant artist in his own right, Adam was once in Margot's clutches. He knows how ruthless she is, and he'll do anything to help Jules locate the painting before Margot gets it first. I really like these. I always love those kind of like things that have gotten lost throughout history and trying to find them. So this one just seems like a lot of fun and a good kind of kickstart into the fall season. And this is a book that I picked up in Montreal last spring, and it just seems really interesting, and I've been holding out for like this time of year to read it, and I'm finally adding it to my TBR, and it's called Horse by Geraldine Brooks, and the premise of it just sounded so interesting. But it basically says Kentucky 1850, an enslaved groom in a bay full forge full forge a bond of understanding that will carry the horse to record-setting victories across the South. When the nation erupts in a civil war, an artist who has made his name on paintings of the racehorse takes up arms for the Union. On a perilous night, he reunites with the stallion and his groom, very far from the glamour of a racehorse. New York City in 1954. The gallery owner, celebrated for taking risks on edgy contemporary painters, becomes obsessed with the 19th century equestrian oil painting of mysterious providence. And then finally it goes Washington, D.C., 2019. A Smithsonian scientist from Australia and a Nigerian African art historian find themselves unexpectedly connected through their shared interest in the horse. One studying the stallion's bones for clues to his speed and endurance, the other uncovering the lost history of the unsung black horsemen who were critical to his racing success. So I just found this one interesting, and they're both kind of like things that have been, involve art. So I thought that was kind of funny having them connected, but this one just seems so interesting. Like, I feel like I haven't read anything really like this, and I've heard really great things about this author, so I'm really excited to dive in. So yeah, hopefully, like I said, we'll be back on track to a little bit of normal in September, which I'm very much kind of looking forward to. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what books you read in August and all that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.